This is the first of 3 short videos on the 9 motivations to pray and key books about them. Intercessory Prayer by Doug Sheets is the book I recommend for starters. This is the book that got me started on praying for more than just spiritual armor every day. It takes you from being on the defensive to going on the offensive and taking ground for God. This book addresses all 3 of the motivations that we'll cover in this video, including prayer targets, prayer campaigns, and prophetic direction. But it focuses on prayer targets. Doug Sheets explains the basics on how to get answers to specific prayers, and also how at times we need to wrestle with God and even travail with God in prayer before we're assured of His victory over the enemy. But it's even better to prevent the enemy from hitting us by striking him first. And that's what Prayers That Outwit the Enemy by Chuck Pierce is all about. He shows us how to anticipate the enemy's deception and bind him before he even gets started. But it's not enough to stop the enemy or win one battle. We want to win the whole war for our families, for our churches, and for the nations. That's what the second prayer motivation, prayer campaigns, is about. George Otis has gone around the world and he has found many communities and even large cities which have been transformed in major ways through prayer. And he's reported these victories in his transformations videos. He expands on these victories in Informed Intercession and explains how a whole community can be transformed. In the 7 Mountain Prophecy by Johnny Enlow, he identifies 7 arenas of influence in a nation that we need to transform. He provides a very helpful chart on these 7 mountains of influence. For instance, for the mountain of media, the enemy on the mountain is bad news. The principality on the mountain is the destroyer. The significant displacing authority is evangelists, and the basic mission is to fill the airwaves with good news. At BelizePrayerNetwork.com, you can learn more about these 7 mountains of influence and the campaigns that we are waging for them. The subtitle of this book, Unveiling the Coming Elijah Revolution, means that by the Elijah Revolution, it is a revolution in prophecy. And that's what our next prayer motivation is about. Prophetic direction. Jack Deere, in his book, Surprised by the Voice of God, says that God is speaking to us most of the time if we would only listen. He speaks to us in the Bible and also invites us into ongoing communication and relationship with Him. The church itself began in Acts 2 with an outpouring of the Holy Spirit on all flesh. But since the 1st century, many historians and church leaders even have suppressed accounts of prophecy because of an anti-supernatural bias. In this book, Prophets and the Prophetic Movement by Bill Heyman, he shows us how in recent times neglected truths such as the gift of prophecy have been restored. He provides us with a very helpful chart which shows the main movements of restoration since the 16th century, including the charismatic movement since the 1950s, which have restored the truth that we can hear from God and that we can see prophetic visions. The Seer by James Gull goes into the stream of prophetic visions and dreams. But there can be false prophecies and false visions as well as true ones. If you want to learn how to tell the difference, we have 3 books which deal in depth on that. On the person level, on the church level, and on the national level. On the personal level, there's Prophets, Pitfalls, and Principles by Bill Heyman. He identifies the many pitfalls to avoid that even biblical prophets were prone to fall into. On the church level, there's Growing with the Prophetic by Mike Bickle. Mike has been a pastor of churches with people who are far more prophetically gifted than he was. And he tells how he's learned how to use his authority to lovingly test and correct prophetic people because even they can make mistakes. On the global level, there's The Prophetic Ministry by Rick Joyner. He deals directly with controversies surrounding the prophetic ministry, but he also emphasizes that we need the prophetic ministry today because with the Bible as our guide, That way we can learn God's strategies for our lives. Visit us at BelizePrayerNetwork.com and search for recommended books. You'll find books and descriptions for all 9 motivations to pray and links to Amazon.com so that you can get the best prices for them. Also, take our Prayer Motivator quiz at the link below and share the Prayer Motivator quiz with friends. You can make a difference in national and world transformation by coming to our website, getting the essentials on current issues, and releasing the power of agreement in prayer. Visit our website today.